Hello friends, the question is, how will the equations of motion for an object moving with a uniform velocity change? So we need to know the equations of motion, and from our knowledge of kinematics we know there are three equations of motion are there. Now what are the assumptions for these three equations? So assumptions is acceleration is constant and motion is restricted to a straight line path. And the three equations were or are, first one is v is equal to u plus at, b is s is equal to ut plus half a t squared, and c is v square is equal to u square plus 2as. Now let's see what are the meanings of these variables. So v is final velocity, u is initial velocity, and s is displacement covered in along the straight line, displacement. T is the time taken for the travel, and a is constant acceleration. Now, so what's happening? So basically the body is moving in a straight path, let's say from A, and it goes to B. When it started, its initial velocity was u, and when it was here at point B, it was moving with a velocity v. This distance or the displacement, it is a straight line, so distance and displacement will be same, and this value is s. Okay, so the path length is s. T is the time taken. T is the time taken for this journey. So the body takes t time to cover this distance, and all through the acceleration was a in this direction. Okay, so this is how we are describing the motion. Now the question says, how will these equations change if the body is moving with uniform velocity? Now what is the condition of uniform velocity? Uniform velocity means velocity doesn't change with time. So that means if velocity doesn't change with time, so delta v is 0. Delta v means change in velocity, right? So change in velocity is 0. And now we define acceleration as delta v upon delta t, right? These are vector quantities, so delta v by delta t is acceleration. Now we see that delta v is equal to 0, so hence we'll get acceleration as 0. Now the moment acceleration is 0, the magnitude of acceleration is 0, you put a is 0 in all the three equations, you will get what? From a, now putting magnitude of a is equal to 0, or a is equal to 0. So equation a will become v is equal to u plus 0 into t, that is v is equal to u. B will become s is equal to ut plus half into 0 into t square, that means s is equal to ut. And C, v square is equal to u square plus 2 into 0 into s. This implies v square is equal to u square. So basically if you see v is equal to u means what? Throughout the journey, initial and final velocity are same, so that is the sign of a constantly body in constant or uniform motion. So u is equal to v, s equals to ut, which you have learned in your previous classes, that distance is equal to speed into time. So if you see, s represents the distance, u is the initial velocity which remains constant throughout the motion. So the velocity times time will give you the displacement or distance in this case, and v square is equal to u square is nothing but same thing, v is equal to u, right? So all through the motion v remains same. So this is how the equations will change the moment the body is moving with uniform velocity.